Hi, I'm Masi Macau and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I want to tell you how my dream to go to the US almost died even before it began. So I was flying with KLM from Nairobi to Amsterdam, then Amsterdam to Atlanta, then Atlanta to Maryland. So when I arrived at Atlanta, I went to the counter. You have to show them that you have the visa, and the guy has to interview you before they let you in the country. So remember, when you get your visa, they always tell you that a visa is not a guarantee that you will be allowed entry into the country. So I had my documents all, then I step into the counter, and then this guy was interviewing me. So it was like, okay, state the reason for your visit. So I was saying, and I was telling him that I'm coming to visit, I'm going to get to know about this organization and all. I'm just giving him all the details about my visit. So he said, so how long do you want to stay here? So I was like, for 4 months. Then he was like, okay. Then he asked me, so how much money do you have on you? So I'm like, I have $1,000. So the guy is like, what? You only have $1,000? Then I'm like, yes. And you want to stay here for 4 months? I'm like, yes. Then he was like, what do you do? Then I told him I work for this church. So, he was just laughing. Then he's like, do those people even pay you? Do you even get paid? I'm like, yes, it's a job and I do get a salary. And then after a while, he was like, I think he was, anyway, this guy was not buying my story. So, but the strange thing was that he only asked me how much money I had on me. So I don't usually travel carrying a lot of money, and I even had my ATM. But he just asked me how much money do I have on me, which was $1,000. So after a while of me explaining about my visa and all, he was like, you know what? I'm taking you over to interrogation. So he takes my passport, he takes like a plastic bag, he puts my passport in, and then he calls for security. So in a few minutes, this security guy comes, he takes me, and then he takes me to this room. So the room, once you get in, there's no way you can get out. Yeah, so the door was only opening when somebody is coming in. But once we are seated down, you can't get out. So as I was sitting there, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, like there's a possibility I'm not going to get to America. Now, what was funny, check this out. So the church I was working for, I had already resigned. Then they had thrown me a bash, gave me gifts. I'll show you pictures of my farewell. I had given out all my clothes. Like I knew I'm going to the US for a number of months and then figure out if I would get like a work visa or something of the sort. So as I'm sitting there, it's like dawning on me, wait a minute. I could actually be sent back to Kenya. So I sat down on my chair and I'm like, okay, let me pray. Then remember, I only had one more flight. So now from Atlanta to Maryland, I think my flight was about an hour or so. So the people who were going to get me from the airport maybe were already planning to go to the airport and pick me up. So that's the only thing that I did. I wrote to them. I didn't even explain what had happened to me. I'm like, by the way, I've missed my flight and the airline is trying to rebook me on a later flight. So I will let you know. So don't leave yet. If you haven't left, then I'll give you more details because I didn't want them to panic. So I sit down on my chair. I'm like, okay, I don't know how long it's going to take. And then there were many other people that, I think all of us were like detained. Let's say detained is the better word to say. So as I'm sitting over there, I took out my Bible. And then at that time I was doing a Bible study, this book. So I was reading this book by Mark Batterson. It's something about praying and the prayer circle. So on that particular day, the reading for that day was based on the story of Jesus asking the blind man, what do you want me to do for you? So I'm sitting there and I'm like, God, in relations to the reading of this day, please get me out of here. I cannot go back to Kenya, surely, Jesus. So as I'm sitting there, so I'm thinking, okay, why is it that I don't want to go back to Kenya? So I'm like, okay, I don't have a job. Like I've given out everything. And I was really focused on going back, going to the US. So as I'm sitting there, like, I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, what will happen if I'm actually sent back home? Am I going to be more embarrassed? Or why is it that I don't want to go back to Kenya? What is this? What's the real issue here? Then after a while of just sitting there, and praying, and then Remember, I was there in detention for like over an hour. I even missed my flight. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, okay, God, let me stop insisting on having my way. So God, if it's your plan for me not to go to America, that is fine. But then you'll have to figure out what I'm going to do once I go back to Kenya. So like after about an hour or an hour and a half of waiting, finally my name was called out. So I got out, I went, and this guy was interviewing me. And so he was asking me to state again my reason for coming to the US. And I explained again that I had found this organization and they had invited me for 4 months to come and, see what they do, learn about their organization and see if I would be interested in working with them. Then the guy actually pulled my records from when I went to my interview in March in Nairobi. So he looked and then he said, when you went for your interview, you said that you were going to stay in the US for 1 month. Why is it now that you want us to allow you to stay here for 4 months? So I explained to him that initially when the people who had invited me to go to the US, we had talked about me going only for 1 month to just see what they do. But over our conversations, and McHugh had started talking to these people from October of 2015, all the way now, and now we're in May. So I explained to him that initially when I went for my interview, the idea was for me to stay for a month. But as we continued in conversation, the people who had invited me even asked if I could stay longer. So I explained that that was the reason of my staying longer than the dates that I had indicated in my interview. So the second question he asked me was that when is my return ticket? So I had bought a two-way flight ticket, and my date for going back was like a year. Like I chose the farthest my ticket. So he's like, so if you're staying for 4 months, then why did you buy a ticket that you're going to stay there for a whole year? So I explained to him again, as I said, I'm visiting these people. I do not know how long I'm going to be staying. So my travel agent advised me to just pick the farthest date that the ticket would be valid to. So anyhow, so that's the reason. Then he asked me, like after asking me so many questions, he finally asked me, but do you even have an invitation letter? So I said, yes. So I took out my invitation letter that had said that I was going to stay there for 4 months. So he took the letter, he read it. Then he asked me, who have you been talking to? So I explained to him that the people who had invited me, her name is Miss Marilyn, she's the one who had invited me and had sent me the invite letter. So he said, when was the last time you talked to her? So I think I had spoken to Miss Marilyn either a day or 2 days, because I had to tell her, but then I'm leaving Kenya, so you guys be expecting me. So then he's like, do you have her phone number? So I'm like, yes, I do have her phone number. So he took the number, then he called Miss Marilyn. So then Miss Marilyn confirmed that indeed they had invited me, they knew I was coming. And then after a while, the guy was like, okay. So he just gave me back my passport. Then I was like, I did miss my flight. What am I going to do? So I was like, that's okay. When you go to the airline that you are flying with, just go tell them that you are detained here, and they will book you in the next available flight. So that's exactly what I did. Thank God. So anyhow, that's how my dream of going to America would have died. So just to encourage you that even if there's something you're planning and then challenges come your way, just pray about it and go right ahead. Here I am. I did end up staying for 4.5 years on something that took me there just 4 months. So I just wanted to encourage you guys that sometimes things may come our way, but if we have faith in Jesus and we believe in miracles, you'll get your miracle. So in my next videos, I'll tell you the lessons I learned, the challenges that I faced in America, and the beautiful people that I met, and just my beautiful journey, the places I went, and that's my wonderful experience in the US. I love you guys, and subscribe, like, and comment, and God bless.